The dim glow of a kerosene lamp flickered in the tiny mud house, casting long shadows on the cracked walls. Lily sat in the corner, knees hugged to her chest, silent tears streaming down her face. She had just heard the most devastating news of her life. "Lily, you must marry him." Her father's voice was firm but exhausted. His eyes, once full of warmth, now held only the weight of struggle. The village elders had made their decision. The debts had piled up, and there was no escape. "But Papa, I don't even know him," she whispered, her voice trembling. Her mother sat beside her, brushing her hair gently. "He is a good man, my dear. A farmer. Poor, like us. But he will take care of you." Poor! That word clung to her chest like an unbearable weight. She had dreamt of escaping this life, of finding a future beyond the dirt roads and broken dreams. But now, she was being tied to another man drowning in the same misery. The wedding was in 3 days. No elaborate celebration, no golden bangles, just a simple ceremony under the village's ancient banyan tree. That night, Lily lay awake, staring at the roof, heart pounding. What kind of man was he? Was he cruel? Kind? Did he even want this marriage? Somewhere in the distance, beyond the fields, beyond the silence of the night, a secret remained hidden. A secret that would change everything. The sun rose lazily over the village, casting golden hues over the fields. Lily's heart pounded as she sat by the window, staring at the path where her future husband would arrive. Her hands trembled as she clutched the edge of her old dupatta. She had heard whispers about him. Lucas. A quiet man, an orphan, struggling like everyone else. Some said he worked tirelessly on his small patch of land. Others claimed he kept to himself, never revealing much about his past. Then, the moment arrived. A small group of men walked towards her home, leading the groom. Lily's breath hitched. Lucas was dressed simply, in a crisp white kurta and worn-out sandals. His posture was straight, his expression unreadable. His sharp features were accentuated by a quiet intensity in his eyes, dark, piercing, and filled with something she couldn't quite name. Her father stood up, greeting him with a handshake. The elders exchanged polite words, but Lily could barely focus. She dared to steal a glance at him. That's when their eyes met. For a fleeting second, she felt something strange. Not fear, not sadness, something else. Respect? Mystery. "I hope you will keep my daughter happy," her father said, his voice laced with worry. Lucas nodded. "I will." His voice was deep, steady, and sure. Lily felt her stomach churn. Who was this man? As the arrangements continued, no one noticed the way Lucas's gaze briefly flickered towards the far horizon. As if he was hiding a story far greater than what they all believed, and Lily had no idea that her world was about to change forever. The day of the wedding arrived with the first rays of sunlight casting long shadows across the village. The small, dusty roads leading to Lily's house were filled with guests, mostly family members and close neighbors. It was a simple affair, with little more than a few flowers to decorate the ceremony area beneath the old banyan tree. Lily stood in front of a cracked mirror, adjusting her worn bridal dress, feeling the weight of the day settle on her shoulders. Her hands shook as she reached for the modest bouquet her mother had picked from the garden. "Are you ready, my dear?" her mother asked softly, her voice trembling as she adjusted Lily's veil. Lily nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, Mama." But inside, her heart was a storm of confusion and dread. She had never imagined her wedding day would be like this. No lavish ceremony, no beautiful promises whispered under a night sky. Only an empty sense of duty and sacrifice. When she stepped out into the open air, the villagers gathered around, murmuring among themselves. They watched as she walked slowly towards the ceremony area, where Lucas stood waiting. His face was still unreadable, but there was something in his eyes that Lily couldn't quite decipher. As she reached the altar, Lucas's gaze met hers. The moment their eyes locked, Lily felt a shiver run down her spine. He stood tall, a silent presence, like a man caught between two worlds. The priest began the ceremony, chanting ancient words that Lily couldn't understand. She felt disconnected from everything happening around her. But just as the vows were about to be exchanged, something in the air shifted. There was a tension, a promise of something deeper. Lily couldn't shake the feeling that Lucas was hiding something, a secret that would soon surface, but what could it be? The evening after the ceremony, Lily sat silently by the small window of their modest home. She could hear the sound of crickets chirping outside, the night air thick with uncertainty. The wedding was over, the vows exchanged, but there was something unsettling in her heart, a feeling that Lucas was not who he seemed. The house was quiet, except for the soft rustling of the wind through the trees. Lucas had retreated to the small back room, not saying much since the ceremony. Lily could hear him moving around, but she didn't dare interrupt. Hours passed before he finally emerged. His eyes were darker than before, as though something weighed heavily on his mind. "Lily," he said, his voice low and serious, "there's something you need to know." Lily's pulse quickened. This was it, the moment she had been dreading. Her stomach twisted with a mixture of fear and curiosity. He took a deep breath before continuing. "I didn't want to tell you this on our wedding day, but now I think you deserve the truth." Lily stood up, her breath shallow. "What truth?" Lucas glanced down, avoiding her gaze. "I'm not just a poor farmer, Lily. I don't work just for survival. I've been hiding a secret, one that could change everything for you." Her heart raced. "What do you mean?" "I'm a billionaire," Lucas admitted, his voice almost a whisper. "I've inherited wealth from my late father's business empire. But I chose to live this simple life, to escape the world of luxury." Lily stared at him, her mind reeling. "A billionaire? Then why did you marry me? Why this life?" Lucas stepped closer, his eyes intense. "Because I wanted something real, Lily. And I didn't want anyone to marry me for my money. I wanted you to love me, not my wealth." The room seemed to spin around her. She couldn't comprehend what he was saying. The man she thought was poor was a billionaire. Lily stood frozen, her mind struggling to catch up with the revelation. A billionaire? The man standing before her, whom she had married under the impression of shared poverty, was one of the richest men in the country. Lucas watched her carefully, waiting for a reaction. His expression was calm, but there was a trace of vulnerability in his eyes. "Are you angry?" he asked quietly. Lily couldn't speak. She felt as if the ground beneath her feet had crumbled away. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of confusion and disbelief. She had married him believing he shared her struggles, her dreams of a simple life. And now, this? "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" she finally managed to ask, her voice strained. "I didn't want you to see me as just another rich man," Lucas replied, his tone sincere. "I wanted you to marry me for me, not for what I had. I wanted to give you a life you would choose for yourself, not one dictated by wealth." Lily's heart pounded in her chest as the truth began to sink in. She had married a man who could give her everything she had ever dreamed of: luxury, comfort, a future without worry. Yet, why did she feel betrayed? Why was the idea of a life of wealth suddenly so hollow? She looked at him, her emotions a mix of awe and resentment. "So all this time, you've been hiding this from me?" Lucas nodded. "I'm sorry, Lily. I should have told you sooner, but I was afraid you wouldn't see me for who I am." Lily turned away, staring out the window into the night. The simple life she had imagined with Lucas seemed impossible now. Everything had changed in a single moment, but what did this mean for them now? Could she truly accept this life, or had the truth broken something inside her that could never be fixed? The days following Lucas's confession felt like a blur to Lily. She couldn't stop thinking about the revelation that the man she had married, the man she thought she knew, was hiding a secret so grand. It felt like a betrayal. Lucas tried his best to be patient, giving her the space she needed. He never pushed, never demanded that she accept his wealth or his past. But as the days passed, Lily found herself faced with a difficult decision. One afternoon, Lucas took her for a walk through the village. The simple roads were now a stark contrast to the sprawling estates she had glimpsed in Lucas's past. Yet, she couldn't deny that a part of her was tempted by the life he had kept hidden. They stopped at a small cafe by the road, where Lucas ordered them tea. Lily stared out the window, watching the children play in the dusty streets. The life she had always known was right there, familiar, comforting, and now, somehow, foreign. "Lily, I know this is overwhelming," Lucas said, breaking the silence. But I want you to know, the choice is yours. I'll love you no matter what you decide. Lily's eyes softened for the first time in days. What do you mean? I want you to have a choice, he explained. You can stay with me, live the life we have here, or you can leave it all behind. You have the freedom to choose. The words hung in the air between them. How could she choose between the simplicity of the life she had always known and the overwhelming temptation of wealth, luxury, and security? She thought of her family, her friends, and the life she had left behind. Could she truly turn her back on it all for a life that felt like a dream she could never fully embrace? The following days brought a whirlwind of emotions for Lily. Lucas had promised her that she could choose her path, but as the days passed, she found herself constantly torn between the life she had always known and the incredible new world Lucas had offered her. One evening, Lucas took her to one of his properties, a grand mansion on the outskirts of the city. As they arrived, the gates opened automatically, and Lily's breath caught in her throat. The sprawling estate looked like something out of a movie: vast gardens, towering marble columns, and a shimmering pool that stretched out under the evening sky. Lucas showed her around the house, his eyes glowing with excitement. This could be your home, Lily. We could live here, in this world. You could have everything you've ever dreamed of. Lily walked through the halls, stunned by the beauty of the place. But with every step, she felt more disconnected from the life she had known. She was a stranger here, lost in a world of riches she had never imagined. Do you like it? Lucas asked, standing behind her. Lily turned to face him, her mind a blur of conflicting emotions. It's beautiful, Lucas. But this isn't me. I don't belong here. I know it's overwhelming, Lucas said softly, stepping closer. But you don't have to change who you are. I just want you to have the choice. We can live a simple life if that's what you want, or we can have everything here. Together. Lily took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision she was being asked to make. Could she really accept this new world, a world of wealth and luxury, or would she always long for the simplicity of the life she left behind? As the night wore on, Lily's thoughts became more conflicted. She had been given a choice, a rare gift in her life, but it came with a price. Could she reconcile her past with this extravagant future? The mansion was silent as the night stretched on, the only sound the faint hum of the air conditioning in the vast, cold hallways. Lily couldn't shake the unease in her chest. No matter how beautiful Lucas's world seemed, it didn't feel like hers. She wandered through the house, pausing in front of a large painting of a serene beach on the wall. It was so unlike the quiet simplicity of her village, so foreign to everything she had known. Lily had never imagined that her life could be anything other than the dusty streets of her small village, the humble meals shared with her family, and the quiet rhythm of the land. Now, here she was, standing in a mansion surrounded by wealth and luxury that felt like an illusion. She turned back to Lucas, who was sitting on the couch, watching her with gentle eyes. There was no pressure in his gaze, no urgency. Just understanding. I don't know if I can do this, Lily said, her voice trembling slightly. I've never lived like this. It feels like a dream. A dream that isn't real. Lucas stood up slowly, walking over to her. I understand, he said softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. This is a lot to take in. But you don't have to change who you are, Lily. If you want to stay the same person, we can live simply. You don't have to change for me. Lily looked up at him, her heart conflicted. Was it that simple? Could she really stay true to herself in this new world, or would she be swallowed by it? The thought of losing her identity, of becoming something she wasn't, terrified her. Yet, she couldn't ignore the pull of the possibilities before her, an entire life of comfort and luxury, a future with Lucas that seemed almost too perfect to be true. The days blurred into one another as Lily grappled with the choice before her. Each day, Lucas remained patient, giving her the time she needed to process everything. He never pushed, but Lily could feel the tension growing between them. She had returned to the village several times, visiting her family and friends. Each time, she felt a deeper sense of isolation from the life she had once known. The simplicity of her old world felt like a distant memory, a chapter of her life that was slowly slipping away. Back at the mansion, the luxury seemed to mock her. She would walk through the grand hallways, touch the cool, polished marble floors, and marvel at the opulence. But there was no warmth, no connection to her past. The house was beautiful, yes, but it felt empty, like a place where happiness couldn't be bought. One evening, as she and Lucas sat at dinner, the silence between them felt thicker than usual. Lily could see the weight of his own struggle. He didn't want to lose her, but how could he make her understand that she didn't have to choose between him and her old life? Lily, Lucas began, breaking the silence. I can't pretend I don't want you to stay here with me, in this life. But if this isn't what you want, I won't make you stay. I won't force you into a life that makes you uncomfortable. Lily's heart swelled with emotion. He was offering her freedom, the freedom to choose between the man she loved and the life she had always dreamed of. I don't know what I want, Lily confessed, her voice barely a whisper. I feel like I'm losing myself. This life, it's beautiful, but it feels like a trap. Lucas's face softened, his eyes filled with understanding. It's not a trap, Lily. It's a choice. And I'll support you no matter what you decide. But Lily knew that her decision wasn't just about Lucas, it was about her. Who was she now? And what did she truly want out of life? The weeks passed, and Lily found herself trapped in a cycle of uncertainty. Her heart was torn between two worlds, neither of which seemed to offer the peace she so desperately craved. She had seen the best and the worst of both lives, one filled with simplicity and community, the other with endless wealth and luxury. Yet, neither seemed to fit the person she had become. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Lily walked to the garden behind the mansion. The scent of jasmine hung in the air, and the moon cast a soft glow over the carefully manicured hedges and fountains. It was beautiful, yes, but it felt unnatural. She sank down onto a bench, closing her eyes as she tried to clear her mind. Her thoughts kept circling back to her childhood, her family, the fields, the simple life she had known. She remembered the laughter of the village children, the songs they sang around the fire, and the closeness of their community. Those were the things that had shaped her, that had given her a sense of purpose. In that quiet moment, it became clear to her. It wasn't the money or the mansion that made her feel alive. It was the connection to her roots, to the people she loved, to the simplicity that had once filled her life with meaning. She looked up at the sky, taking a deep breath. She didn't need luxury. She didn't need fame or fortune. She needed authenticity, love, and a life that was true to herself. Her decision was made. The next morning, Lily found Lucas in the garden, his expression as gentle as ever. She walked up to him, her heart steady for the first time in weeks. Lucas, I've made my choice, she said, her voice firm. I want to live a simple life. I want to go back to my roots, to the village. I need to find myself again. Lucas looked at her for a long moment, his eyes searching her face for any sign of regret. But all he saw was clarity. I understand, Lily, he said quietly. And I'll always support you, no matter where you go. It was in that moment that Lily realized something profound. She had found herself, not in a life of wealth, but in the freedom to choose her own path. And no matter where that path took her, she knew she would never regret the decision to stay true to who she was. The decision was made, and there was no turning back. The luxury of the mansion, the world of wealth Lucas had offered, now seemed like a dream that faded with the morning sun. Lily's heart was resolute as she packed her belongings. She wasn't leaving Lucas, she was simply returning to the life she had always known, the life that had shaped her into the woman she was. Lucas respected her decision, though a quiet sadness lingered in his eyes. He had hoped, perhaps, that she would embrace his world, but he understood that love wasn't about possession. It was about understanding, support, and freedom. I'll take you back to the village, he said as they stood by the car, ready to leave. But remember, you always have a place here, Lily. This is your home too, if you ever want to return. Lily smiled, touched by his words, but her heart was set. Thank you, Lucas. I'll always be grateful for everything you've given me. But this is where I belong. This is where my heart is. The drive back was quiet, with only the sound of the tires on the road and the soft hum of the engine. The further they went, the more Lily felt herself shedding the weight of her decisions, finding peace in the simplicity of what lay ahead. As they reached the outskirts of her village, the familiar sight of the dusty roads and the humble homes made her chest tighten with emotion. She had missed this place, the warmth of the community, the connection with the land. It was here, among the fields and the faces she knew, that she had always felt alive. Lucas stopped the car at the entrance of the village. He turned to her, his eyes filled with understanding. "I hope you find the peace you're looking for, Lily." "I truly do." Lily reached over and squeezed his hand. "Thank you for everything, Lucas. You'll always have a place in my heart." With a final embrace, she stepped out of the car and watched as Lucas drove away, leaving her standing at the crossroads of her past and future. But as she walked toward her family's home, she realized that for the first time in a long time, she felt at peace. Life in the village felt like a warm embrace. The familiar sounds of the market, the chatter of neighbors, and the scent of fresh bread baking in the oven welcomed Lily back with open arms. The weight she had carried for so long seemed to lift the moment she set foot back in her small community. Her family was overjoyed to have her home. Her mother's embrace was the first thing Lily felt upon walking through the door. "We missed you so much, my dear," her mother whispered, tears in her eyes. "I missed you too, Mama," Lily replied, her voice choked with emotion. Lily spent the next few days reconnecting with her roots, helping her mother around the house, visiting old friends, and spending time in the fields. It was a life she had once thought she had outgrown, but now, it felt like home in a way nothing else could. As the days passed, Lucas's absence became more pronounced. Lily thought of him often, wondering if she had made the right choice. She missed him, but she knew deep down that she had to find herself before she could truly be with anyone. One afternoon, as she worked in the garden, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was Lucas, standing at the gate, a small suitcase by his side. "I couldn't stay away," he said softly, his eyes searching hers. "I've been thinking a lot. I respect your decision to return to the village, Lily, but I realize now that what I want more than anything is to be with you. To live a life, not defined by wealth, but by love." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She had never expected him to return, but as she looked at him, she realized that she had missed him more than she had allowed herself to admit. "Lucas, Lily started, unsure of what to say. He stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "I'm not asking you to choose between me and your past. I've come to understand that it's not about wealth. It's about us, and what we're willing to build together. If you'll have me, I want to build a life with you here. In this village. No mansions. No luxury. Just us." Lily looked at him, her heart filled with 1,000 conflicting emotions. She had found peace in her decision to return home, but could she truly leave behind everything once again? Could she embrace a life with Lucas, one where they could forge their own path, free from the shadows of wealth? She took a deep breath and smiled, feeling her heart settle into the right place. "I think I'm ready to build that life with you, Lucas. Together." And as the sun set over the village, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lily realized that love wasn't about choosing between two worlds. It was about finding balance, creating a new one together, and embracing the future with open arms. They walked hand in hand into the village, where their new life awaited, and Lily finally felt that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Even as Lily and Lucas began to rebuild their relationship, their challenges weren't over. Though Lily had returned to the village, the shadow of their previous life still loomed over them. The villagers, who had once known her as a simple girl, now viewed her through a different lens. She was married to a man with a secret fortune, and it was hard for them to reconcile her humble roots with the luxury she had experienced. As the weeks passed, rumors began to spread about Lucas's wealth. Some whispered that he had abandoned his true self, while others speculated that Lily was only interested in his fortune. The small, tight-knit community that had once embraced her now felt like a cage. Lily could feel the tension building. She tried to ignore the gossip, focusing on her daily life with Lucas, but it was impossible to escape the judgment. One evening, after a particularly tense interaction with a local shopkeeper, she found herself alone in their modest home, questioning everything. "Lucas, do you ever regret it? Leaving all of this behind?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lucas sat beside her, his expression thoughtful. No, I don't regret it. I made my choice because I wanted to live a life that was true to me. But I know it's harder for you. The village isn't the same, and I don't want to be the reason you feel out of place. Lily turned to him, her eyes filled with uncertainty. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe the life I had before was simpler for a reason. He took her hand in his, squeezing it gently. It's not about going backward, Lily. It's about finding what makes us truly happy, together. It was a hard pill to swallow, but Lily knew that finding peace in the midst of judgment and expectations would be part of her journey. And perhaps the real struggle was less about external forces and more about accepting the person she had become. As the days passed, Lily realized something she hadn't before. Her struggles weren't about her past life or the village's judgment, they were about embracing the future without abandoning who she was. She didn't need to fit into anyone's mold, not even her own. One afternoon, she went for a walk alone in the hills surrounding the village. The beauty of the rolling fields and the peaceful rhythm of the land calmed her mind. She thought of her family, of Lucas, and of the life they could build together. No longer was she focused on the weight of other people's opinions. Lucas had made a sacrifice when he left his wealth behind, but so had she. She had chosen a life where she could be free, where she could love not because of wealth, but because of the person Lucas truly was. When she returned home, she found Lucas waiting for her in the garden. He had been working the land, just as he always had, yet there was something different about his demeanor. I've been thinking, Lucas said, his eyes full of determination. This village, this life, it's where we belong. But we don't have to accept things the way they are. We can change things. We can make a difference. Lily looked at him, surprised. What do you mean? Let's build something together, he said. Not a mansion. Not a fortune. But a business that helps this village thrive. We can bring new opportunities here, give people jobs, improve their lives. It's time to show them that we don't have to be defined by where we come from. We can create something bigger than ourselves. Lily smiled, her heart swelling with pride. This was the future she had always imagined, a future built on love, purpose, and the desire to bring good into the world. It wasn't about wealth or status. It was about making an impact in a way that truly mattered. Months passed, and the plans for the new business slowly took shape. With the help of their community, Lucas and Lily began to build something extraordinary. They didn't just invest money into the village, they invested time, effort, and love. They started a sustainable farming initiative, using the land to create eco-friendly products and fair trade goods that could be sold in markets across the region. Lily worked side by side with the villagers, teaching them new skills and helping them grow. Lucas managed the business side, using his knowledge to ensure that it ran smoothly without drawing attention to the wealth he had kept hidden for so long. Through this venture, the village began to prosper. People were able to provide for their families, and the once struggling community started to thrive. The gossip faded, replaced by admiration for what they had accomplished together. Lily and Lucas found a new rhythm in life, one that was not defined by luxury or poverty but by their shared dreams and hard work. They had created a future for themselves and for their village, a future that was built on trust, love, and a shared vision, and in that future, Lily finally found peace, not in the wealth she had once feared, but in the love and purpose she had discovered with Lucas by her side.